Today I'd like to answer a question that is really very tough to answer, but I'm going to do my best. It's a necessary question. I've had people ask me this question. More specifically, I've had betrayed spouses ask me this question from all over the world. The answers are not simple, but there are answers. The question is, Samuel, shouldn't I be over my spouse or partner's infidelity by now? Shouldn't I be further down the road than I am right now? The answer is a very complicated but yet necessary discussion. The answer, quite frankly, and I'm sorry, but this is probably going to be the answer of any therapist, counselor, authority figure, pastor, priest, rabbi, coach, what have you, that knows what they're doing, has been through infidelity, or has treated enough couples or individuals to be able to know what they're talking about. The answer is, quite frankly, I don't know. The reason I don't know is because I'm not you. And as much as I can tell you my story and the stories of thousands of other people's, your story is your story. Your pain is your pain. Your pain is unique. While it is maybe not unique to the face of the earth or the face of the monstrosity of betrayed spouses, the fact is you are dealing with your situation. There are a litany of factors and variables to have to keep in mind. Some of those variables are, well, how much work have you done? What work have you done? If you've just been doing general work, general counseling, or general care, it would not be surprising to me to hear that several years down the road, you still feel stuck in the pain and trauma and hurt as a betrayed spouse. If you have not done very much work, you've just read books or maybe read articles and maybe, hopefully watching these videos, that's not going to probably be enough to help you heal in totality. It will certainly help, and we hope and pray and do everything we can that this would help you. But ultimately, I don't know if you should be further along because I'm not aware of how much work that you've done. Only you know how much work you have done. I use this example all the time. When you experience cancer, you don't go to a general doctor. You don't go to a dentist. You find the best oncologist you can find for that particular type of cancer, and that's the type of help that's going to really help move you down the road. Now, there are trends, and we'll talk about some healing trends and what you can expect. But another variable is, how long has it been? There are other factors that are necessary discussions. Do you have PTSD or a short-term form of PTSD? Do you have complex PTSD? Do you have other struggles that you're navigating through? Because that can mean a longer recovery time as well. There are other factors to consider, like how involved is your unfaithful spouse? Have there been multiple D-days? Have you found yourself finding out information only to find out more and more and more? So the clock has started over every time. The necessary discussion also is, quite frankly, how defensive have they been? How difficult has the unfaithful spouse been? That doesn't mean that you can't heal, my friend, but that does mean that that can exacerbate things, delay things, and really make it more difficult for the relationship to be further along, but also for your own healing to be further along, because you are suffering maybe from abuse, maybe from just stonewalling. Maybe you don't know all of the information, so it's very hard to be where you would like to be. Now, none of these variables are excuses to justify you willfully staying stuck. But I haven't found that many people who are genuinely serious about healing actually even ask the question of, Samuel, shouldn't I be further along? Now, some trends. It is our expectation, and we consider certainly ourselves experts, having gone through infidelity and helping tons of people heal. Typically, healing from infidelity takes between maybe as little as 12 months to as much as 24 months, depending upon the severity of what you've been through and what type of help you are able to utilize. And I certainly am compassionate about finances and difficulty and being in parts of the world where it's not all that accessible. It's just tough. It's expensive to heal in more ways than one. But that is not an excuse. That's not justification for inaction, because you can still do work. If you're watching this video, I would bet that there's a lot of help available for you if you are struggling financially, if you are in a place where you just can't seem to afford to get professional help. There's so much help for free on our website. There's a free boot camp on our website at affairrecovery.com. There are scholarships for online courses. Now, it can be somewhat alarming to hear, 12 to 24 months. I'm 3-4 years down the road. Well, number one, stop being so hard on yourself. That's never going to help you heal faster. That's never going to move you down the road. By simply watching this video and maybe even kind of having a heart-to-heart, that doesn't mean you're automatically going to be further down the road. What it does mean is maybe you should be farther down the road. Okay, let's take that. Maybe it's time for you to lay aside some blame. Maybe it's time for you to lay aside a sense of victimization. Maybe it is time to have a heart-to-heart to say, look, it's been X amount of time. I'm ready to get pretty serious, and I am going to be further down the road by the end of this year. Maybe take a realistic time frame of somewhere between 3 and 6 months and say, look, I'm going to set some goals. I'm going to read X amount of books. I'm going to take this course. I'm going to try and get a couple of sessions with an expert. I don't know, come to one of our intensives, something. But maybe you put a timeline on it that says, hey, the next 6 months, a little bit at a time, I'm going to be more serious about where I'm at. Maybe it's about deciding, you know what I'm doing isn't working. It's time for expert help. Maybe it's being just more compassionate on yourself and saying, you know what, I'm where I'm at and that's okay. I'm okay with where I'm at. It doesn't mean that I'm going to lay down and die, but it does mean I can be okay and I can accept where I am at. For the spouse that asks me the question, shouldn't I be further along? Oftentimes I find that they are being extremely hard on themselves. And when I find out the severity of their timeline, I'm able to say, look, I don't know that you should be further along. Maybe it would be far more helpful for you to just accept where you're at, be compassionate upon yourself, and do what you can with what you have. Maybe you don't have the finances, or maybe you do, but it's about accepting where you're at, giving yourself grace, giving yourself mercy, giving yourself self-love and self-acceptance for where you're at, not shaming yourself that you're not further along, not condemning yourself that you're not in a better position, and realizing that this is life-altering trauma. See, if you can accept where you're at, then you can start to get to where you want to be. If you can't accept where you're at, and if you keep shaming yourself, and if you keep condemning yourself and judging yourself, it's going to chain you, and you're not going to get where you want to be. I don't know if you should be further along. I know that you should be kind to yourself. I know that you should be accepting of where you're at. You can get further down the road. I promise you, you absolutely can. Let me end with this. Get the right help from the right people, and you'll get on the right timeline.